Today, we're breaking down the latest on the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, analyzing who's leading. We're taking you state by state across all 50 states. It's a state-by-state breakdown of the biggest race in America. Let's watch. Texas. In Texas, Donald Trump leads with 51% of the vote, while Kamala Harris trails with 45%, giving Trump a 6% advantage in this key battleground state. Kansas. In Kansas, Donald Trump is leading with 48% compared to Kamala Harris at 43%, showing a 5% edge for Trump in this traditionally Republican state. Alaska. In Alaska, Donald Trump commands 51% of the vote ahead of Kamala Harris, with 43% giving Trump an 8% lead in this northern state. Montana. In Montana, Donald Trump has a strong lead with 58% support, while Kamala Harris has 40%, giving Trump an 18% advantage in this conservative state. South Carolina. In South Carolina, Donald Trump holds 54% of the vote, while Kamala Harris is at 42%, putting Trump 12% ahead in this southern stronghold. Connecticut. In Connecticut, Kamala Harris is ahead with 57% support, while Donald Trump has 41%, showing a Democratic advantage with Harris leading by 16%. Idaho. In Idaho, Donald Trump leads decisively with 60% of the vote, while Kamala Harris stands at 34%, giving Trump a commanding 26% lead. Hawaii. In Hawaii, Kamala Harris leads with 58% of the vote, compared to Donald Trump's 36%, putting her ahead by a significant 22% margin. Kentucky. In Kentucky, Donald Trump dominates with 62% support, while Kamala Harris trails with 32%, giving Trump a solid 30% lead in the state. Maine. In Maine, Kamala Harris has the edge with 48% of the vote compared to Donald Trump's 41%, showing a 7% lead for Harris. New Jersey. In New Jersey, Kamala Harris leads with 54% support, while Donald Trump stands at 38%, giving Harris a 16% advantage in this Democratic state. North Carolina. In North Carolina, Donald Trump leads narrowly with 49% of the vote, while Kamala Harris is close behind with 47%, giving Trump a slim 2% lead. Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, both candidates are closely matched, with Kamala Harris slightly leading with 49% to Donald Trump's 49%, putting Harris ahead by just 1%. Utah. In Utah, Donald Trump has a strong lead with 54% of the vote, while Kamala Harris stands at 34%, giving Trump a clear 20% advantage. Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, Kamala Harris leads narrowly with 49% of the vote, while Donald Trump is at 48%, giving Harris a slim 1% edge in this swing state. Florida. In Florida, Donald Trump is ahead with 51% of the vote, while Kamala Harris trails with 44%, giving Trump a 7% lead in this critical state. Georgia. In Georgia, Donald Trump has a slight lead with 49% of the vote, while Kamala Harris holds 47%, giving Trump a narrow 2% advantage. Minnesota. In Minnesota, Kamala Harris leads with 50% of the vote compared to Donald Trump's 44%, putting her ahead by a clear 6% margin. Nebraska. In Nebraska, Donald Trump is leading with 55% support, while Kamala Harris has 40%, giving Trump a solid 15% advantage in this red state. Arizona. In Arizona, Donald Trump holds a narrow lead with 49% of the vote, while Kamala Harris trails closely with 46%, giving Trump a 2% edge. Michigan. In Michigan, Kamala Harris has a slight lead with 49% of the vote, while Donald Trump is close behind with 47%, giving Harris a 2% advantage in this key state. Nebraska District 2. In Nebraska's District 2, Kamala Harris leads with 53% of the vote, while Donald Trump is at 43%, giving Harris a 10% advantage in this competitive district. Rhode Island. In Rhode Island, Kamala Harris holds a strong lead with 57% support compared to Donald Trump's 41%, putting Harris ahead by 16% in this Democratic state. Missouri. In Missouri, Donald Trump leads with 54% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 42%, giving Trump a 12% advantage in this traditionally conservative state. Arkansas. In Arkansas, Donald Trump commands 55% of the vote, while Kamala Harris stands at 40%, giving Trump a solid 15% lead in this southern state. Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, Donald Trump leads with 56% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 40%, giving Trump a 16% advantage in this reliably Republican state. West Virginia. In West Virginia, Donald Trump has a strong lead with 61% support, while Kamala Harris has 34%, giving Trump a commanding 27% advantage. Vermont. In Vermont, Kamala Harris leads with 70% of the vote compared to Donald Trump's 29%, putting Harris ahead by a significant 41% margin in this Democratic stronghold. Nebraska District 3. In Nebraska's District 3, Donald Trump leads overwhelmingly with 71% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 23%, giving Trump a 48% advantage. Nevada. In Nevada, both candidates are neck and neck, each holding 48% of the vote, making it a tight race in this battleground state. New York. In New York, Kamala Harris leads with 58% support compared to Donald Trump's 39%, giving Harris a strong 19% advantage in this Democratic-leaning state. New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, Kamala Harris leads with 50% of the vote, while Donald Trump trails with 45%, giving Harris a 5% edge in this competitive state. Nebraska District 1. In Nebraska's District 1, Donald Trump leads with 50% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 44%, giving Trump a 6% advantage in this district. Ohio. In Ohio, Donald Trump holds 51% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 45%, giving Trump a 6% advantage in this important swing state. Maine District 1. In Maine's District 1, Kamala Harris leads with 56% of the vote, while Donald Trump trails with 33%, giving Harris a 23% advantage in this Democratic district. Maine District 2. In Maine's District 2, Donald Trump leads with 49% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 40%, giving Trump a 9% edge in this rural district. New Mexico. In New Mexico, Kamala Harris leads with 50% of the vote, while Donald Trump is at 43%, giving Harris a 7% advantage in this southwestern state. Oregon. In Oregon, Kamala Harris holds 53% support, while Donald Trump stands at 41%, putting Harris ahead by 12% in this traditionally Democratic state. Washington. In Washington, Kamala Harris leads with 56% of the vote, compared to Donald Trump's 36%, giving Harris a strong 20% advantage. California. In California, Kamala Harris holds a commanding lead with 59% support, while Donald Trump trails at 34%, giving Harris a significant 25% edge. Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, Kamala Harris leads with 61% of the vote, compared to Donald Trump's 32%, putting Harris ahead by 29% in this Democratic stronghold. Tennessee. In Tennessee, Donald Trump has 56% support, while Kamala Harris stands at 35%, giving Trump a solid 21% lead in this conservative state. Iowa. In Iowa, Donald Trump leads with 49% of the vote, while Kamala Harris has 44%, giving Trump a 5% advantage in this battleground state. North Dakota. In North Dakota, Donald Trump holds 59% of the vote, while Kamala Harris stands at 32%, giving Trump a substantial 27% lead. Indiana. In Indiana, Donald Trump leads with 56% support, while Kamala Harris trails with 40%, putting Trump ahead by 16% in this Republican-leaning state. Delaware. In Delaware, Kamala Harris leads with 55% of the vote, while Donald Trump is at 37%, giving Harris an 18% edge in this Democratic state. Colorado. In Colorado, Kamala Harris holds 53% of the vote, compared to Donald Trump's 42%, putting Harris ahead by 11%. Illinois. In Illinois, Kamala Harris leads with 55% of the vote, while Donald Trump stands at 40%, giving Harris a 15% advantage. Louisiana. In Louisiana, Donald Trump leads with 59% support, while Kamala Harris has 37%, giving Trump a strong 22% advantage in this southern state. Mississippi. In Mississippi, Donald Trump holds a substantial lead with 61% of the vote, while Kamala Harris is at 34%, putting Trump ahead by 27%. That's a wrap on our latest look at the 2024 presidential race. We've dug into the key states, analyzed the polling data, and explored what could tip the scales come Election Day. As we edge closer to casting ballots, the landscape will keep shifting, and each of us has a part to play. Remember, your vote is your voice, so make sure it's heard loud and clear. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that bell to stay in the loop on all things election. We'll catch you in the next update. Stay engaged, stay informed, and stay involved.